Hey, what's up, guys? It's Jeff and Ray back again, and we just got done with an amazing, awesome, super awesome mastery chat with Kim Snodgrass. It was just as much fun as we thought it was going to be, probably even more so. Exciting time. I know if Tiffany was here, I'd be like, hey, Tiffany, how was the chat? And she'd go, awesome, like that, and probably throw glitter. There's a lot of glitter stuff going on tonight. So, Ray, how are you feeling after the chat? What's in your head right now?
I loved this chat. It was everything I thought it was going to be and so much more. And for me, this was a chat that I feel like I walked away with resources, which, that's, if I'm going to spend an hour doing anything, walking away with things I can literally go and implement in my classroom tomorrow is my goals. I love that.
Yeah. Awesome. Are there any particular tweets or answers or anything that kind of stick out to in your head right now?
Yeah, it's funny. I was Instagramming our chat while on Twitter, which just for anybody out there who uses both social media platforms, you can't actually do both at the same time. It was like, sending out 5 tweets, Instagramming 2 stories, sending out 5 tweets. I mean, it was like a mess. But what I was highlighting of the tweets that I highlighted, a lot of them were examples of how to utilize play purposefully in kind of the elementary realm. I found a lot of middle school, high school examples. And I think those are the tweets I really connected with because as I described, obviously in our preview and also in other Instagram stories that we posted on the Teach Better Team Instagram, I think people were scared of this topic. Play is really something, that word that's attributed to elementary school and kindergarten and first grade. And so having an entire chat. See, I Instagrammed about that, right?
You have a lot in your story today. I just realized that.
I do. Well, Jeff, it was a really fun day. It went from like designing a lesson. There you go. Designing a lesson to implementing it in my classroom to then our Twitter chat. I mean, it's just been a full day. I couldn't stop. There was nothing that was not worth sharing. I had to share everything. So, but with those tweets, I love the few that I was able to snag because it was Tiffany defining what play was. And that was in question 1. It was super right off the bat. And she clarified right off the bat that play is not just maintaining recess. It's not planning a kickball activity. It's going out. It's finding purposeful ways to engage your students and letting them explore. And she highlighted how that looks different at different grade levels. So I loved that, like right off the bat, Tiffany Ott sharing her insight because she's fabulous.
It is.
And then I saw a lot of other ones where the first tweet that you showed originally a few seconds ago was a way for a 3rd grade teacher that she's implementing play by varying the mediums in her art class, like allowing students permission to not just do a task, complete it, move forward, but explore and, touch things and make sure that everything was really fun. I loved that.
And then the other one you had was
Tanya,
who said, one thing I provide that leads to exploration is an environment where I guarantee that experimentation and error are okay. We won't tolerate students criticizing or laughing at each other's mistakes. Comfort with environment can let even serious kids be silly.
And I loved Tanya saying that because I think that was the connection that some of us needed in this chat was play versus exploration. Because I think that language is similar, lends itself well to each other because teachers are able to see, okay, so play doesn't just belong in the elementary school. We just might call it something else at a different grade level. And she did a great job highlighting exploration, choice, gamification. She had really great ideas the whole way through.
And I screenshotted a few of them. One, John Resendez. I'm not sure if I'm saying his name right, but it's at Mr. JONRESENDEZ. And his answer to question 1, which was about like why it's important. He says the lessons that have always stayed with me have felt like play. You dive deeper because you just must, and look forward to the many ways you will apply the lessons you are teaching yourself. Play and deep learning share the trait of self-direction. And I know Tiffany was one to first jump right on that and love the connection that John made between play and that really sort of deep learning of diving into something, and they connect via that self-direction of how you incorporate that, which I mean, that's when we first start learning as little kids. That's how we start learning, by play. Like we play with things, we goof around, we try things out, and we start teaching ourselves. It's not necessarily directed. I mean, it can be, but obviously it's typically not. It's just us goofing around. So,
but I like his connection to, I saw a lot of examples of play that use those 5 senses, right? We talk about that. Yeah. Play is not just handing a student a worksheet and being like, oh, go find the answers, but how can you really engage them in the entire experience? It's not just the task at hand, but really using every element possible for your students to make it memorable. Chad, who I know is our fearless leader, right? Very early on, always told me with our 5 senses that teachers don't use scent enough. And he said that that's one of the strongest ways for students to really make connections is having sense that they associated with that information. And I don't know why that stuck with me so strongly, because I repeat that fairly often and quote him, but being able to give our students experiences is really the whole point of making memories that just have to so happen to do with content. Like, that's so valuable.
Yeah, I love it. It's good. And your class is a prime example of that.
Well, but there's actually...
Do you use scents? Do you do like smelling candles and things like that? Or
I use scents? Are you kidding me? I use 5 senses every single opportunity I can. I have to say though, Jeff, I'm not sure if we highlighted this in our preview, but today was a perfect day for us to have our #mastery chat focused on play, because really popular on Instagram and all other social medias, I guess, as well. Instagram is a big one, but we had a #RockYourSchool, which was a national event. Actually, it was all over the world, that they were highlighting teachers kind of doing really purposeful play in their classroom today. So while we hope teachers do it all the time, we really wanted to see it today. And that was led by Hope and Wade King, which I know you know very well. But as they were doing this with the Get Their Teach On, you were seeing teachers actively participating in trying to get classroom transformations and lessons that allowed their students to play. So it was so fitting that on Twitter to be discussing this concept with teachers that were either involved in both or maybe weren't involved in both, but both groups, both our Instagram Get Your Teach On group and our Twitter #mastery team group mastery chat group were able to start their day tomorrow with this being a really relevant thought and how to connect their content with play.
One of the things on the Rock Your School hashtag was Todd Nesloni, who we love, who's amazing, whose podcast episode is coming not this coming week, but the following week, I believe, episode 8. But he posted some pictures of, they had bubbles all in their like entrance, and he said, who doesn't love to walk into school through a million bubbles? I mean, come on. Let me see if I can show like.
That's so cool.
So Todd's awesome. If you want to follow him, he's at Tech Ninja Todd. And always some awesome. He's always posting great stuff from their school there. So that was cool. I love that.
Jeff, not to go too far away from our Twitter chat, but Todd's podcast, which I know is not this Monday coming out, it's the next Monday, so keep an eye out for it for our listeners. But his podcast was so surprising to me. Filming that was so inspiring. He shared a lot of details that I didn't expect him to share, that I just left that recording being like, wow, like there was a movement that happened. And so I'm excited for everyone else to hear it. It's really cool.
He got really deep, really transparent. I mean, just let it all out for us. It was awesome. It's really exciting. So
it was so cool.
We've got so many good episodes coming up. I'm excited about it. Which, speaking of, this Monday is Kim Snodgrass, who led the chat tonight. Her episode comes out this Monday, which was a lot of fun to record with her and stuff. She's always a good time. So
well, there was a lot of things that she talked about in this chat that really attribute well. She was able to expand a little bit more in the podcast. Obviously, the chat, we hear so many resources, and teachers were so collaborative in this Twitter chat, which I said earlier I just love. But she was able to kind of speak more about what her perspectives are on everything that she does throwing glitter. So we love it.
And she shared her story, which she has a really cool, like, unique story of how she got the teaching and everything. It's really cool. So
it's
you got to
very different.
If you're not, I'm gonna keep shamelessly plugging it. If you're not already following a podcast, we're on all the major channels, like the iTunes podcast, Google Play, Podbean, Stitcher, you name it. And it's just Teach Better Talk. And episode 7 comes out on Monday with Kim Snodgrass. It's awesome. So good stuff. I want to read another tweet that I grabbed from Philip Schaefer, who is at IronPhil24. And it was to his answer to question number 2. He said, step back and step away. Self-discovery is most important. The best strategy we can teach is perseverance. Students will connect to the topic, lesson, or skill when they invest the time to discover its value. I just thought that was kind of played along with some of what we were talking about from the question 1 too.
Yeah.
Played into it, but I just really love the way he sort of phrased that all together.
I don't remember the questions in order. I'm sorry. I don't remember what question 2 was specifically, but there was a question that Kim threw out about where your resources come from, which we talked about in our preview. And there were so many people out there that were sharing apps that they're using to get play ideas. There was so many teachers that were kind of tagging each other, being like, oh, this person inspires me to implement play more frequently. And so I thought that was a really interesting section of the chat that if anyone's looking back to look back at Twitter, that was a really strong area.
I've actually tasked Amber to put together a list of that so we can share that out sometime.
There was a lot. So
there's a lot. So it's probably going to be early next week that we share that. But someone mentioned something about it, and Kim tagged me and said that maybe I had an idea. My idea, of course, is always, hey, Amber, can you do this? Sorry, I think Amber's going to work on that again. So hopefully we'll be able to share that out with links to all the different resources and stuff, because we love when that type of stuff. I know Tiffany did that a while back when we did one about books and stuff, and everyone really liked that we did that. So we're going to do that again with these resources and stuff. Kim, actually, so question 2 was actually what experiences do you regularly provide that naturally lead to playful curiosity and exploration? And Kim actually shared that she does side quest. So as part of her gamified classroom, because her whole classroom is gamified, the students actually have the opportunity to pursue side quests, which are choice-based enrichment opportunities. She says that she loves seeing the excitement, creativity, and self-discovery that emerges when they sort of take the risk and play onto that stuff. So I love that she kind of has these side quests that gives it that gamified piece, but allows them to sort of explore content. We talk a lot about extending content upward and stuff like that, but sometimes extending to the side and stretching it this way is also really, really important to go outside of the scope of what the content or standard is this way or that way, and let them explore and learn. Not necessarily in depth, but more in width, I guess. Is that a thing?
No, absolutely.
So, really cool.
Because your students need that almost unpredictability, right? It's great to do gamification. I'm a huge fan, and I personally need to continue working on the use of gamification in my classroom. I'm hoping that Michael Matera and Tiffany Ott can push me over the edge. But in terms of learning, there's never something that's a one fix wonder, right? Every single element that we use in our classroom needs to be purposeful, but then we need to provide some surprises along the way, some differentiation, because otherwise gamification becomes boring too. I hate to say it that way, but you got to be able to expand in multiple directions. And so her example of side quest is exactly what that is. It's allowing students within a similar medium to explore content, maybe in a similar way, or in a completely different avenue and facet that they hadn't thought of. And that's really valuable in a classroom where you have, somewhere between 30 to 130 children that are all learning content that they need to connect to. You got to provide multiple areas.
I got to give a shout out also to Heather Joy, who's at HeatherJoy001. She's a music teacher in New York, and she talked about, I don't remember what it was actually answering what question. She didn't put the the A1 or anything like that, but she said that she has stations in her music class. She said it's super noisy, but the kids are off experimenting with different sounds, reading compositions. So she has stations where in one station they might be tinkering with percussion instruments and hand percussion stuff, but then another station they're on iPads creating digital music, and then another one there's different instruments there for them to compose music and to write. And it's such a cool. I think she's in middle school. I told her that I want to go to the class. She told me to wear sneakers. So I think that was an invite. That's what
That's an invite.
Yeah, really cool. I just love the power of music. And then when you connect that with a creative way to teach and show that music and stuff, and that's sort of that side thing where a lot of times in music you get your one instrument and that's the instrument that you play. But when you have this opportunity to learn the other aspects of it, I think is really cool. So.
Well, and the other aspects of it through different mediums, which directly goes back to that first tweet we talked about, right? Giving students multiple mediums. I love that, not only because of the music. I know you're a big music fan as well. But when you allow students to explore different things all at one time, then your students get to kind of sit back and really take time looking at that piece. If you gave me an instrument and then I knew that nobody else was looking at me, I would really be so interested in creating with that. Versus sometimes we do exploration and kind of kids feel like they're on the spot. So I love the different station idea because you allow different groups to explore different ideas, which is cool.
Yeah. And staying on the music thing, because you just said I love it. Kristen Lyon, that's Lyon, Lyon, which is, she's at SRTA Lyon. She said the Latin Grammys nominations came out today, and she said, we love analyzing the songs, learning grammar through lyrics, and then the kids make predictions for Song of the Year. The kids tweet reactions the night of the show then based on that. But I love that she's getting them into, like, they're looking at song lyrics and stuff and working through the grammar and stuff like that, which is really cool. So, and then incorporating the social media aspect of having them tweet out the night of and stuff, which is extending beyond the classroom, keeping the engagement going, but it's fun, exciting. I'm doing a presentation a couple of weeks ago I do about social media, and one of the things that I added at the request of the event was about shifting the mindset and the culture of fear. And like the last thing that I touch on is just the slide just says homework sucks, and it says homework sucks, but Twitter chat's a lot of fun, right? So you can incorporate that extended learning, that take home learning, and going beyond that by doing other things. It doesn't have to be like a Twitter chat. It could be anything like that, but I love it. So I love when we see stuff like that going on. So,
Jeff, not to give away our secrets, but when we finished our preview at the beginning of the chat, there was like a 3-minute break where you and I were able to talk virtually, but we weren't live. Before the Twitter chat, and we were discussing how AR and VR are these upcoming things that are really going to take over education. I really do believe that these progressive movements are coming, and social media is right up there. Social media is an outlet that teachers are scared of, and I know we talk about this all the time, but it's a progressive idea to keep kids engaged, and rather than be scared of it, let's embrace it. And you're spot on. How can we use that to mirror homework, or how can we use that to have our students share out? Because there's so many possibilities now.
Yes, love it. I also love our good friend Kristen Nan, Nan KR 1120. I don't know what this was in regard to, but it's absolutely true. She says, if there is a will, there is a way. Just ask the kids. They will create opportunities for play to match any standard. And I know Kristen's huge on it. She's third grade, fourth grade? Third grade. And she's huge on, like, when she redecorated a room, the kids played a huge role in how different areas of the room are going to be set up. She always brings them into every piece of the conversation so that their room is really, like, student owned, right? And student driven. And so that just falls right in line with how she does that. Like, and that's it's actually another piece of the social media thing. Like, ask your kids, like, they're on it. They know what they like. They know what they're doing. They know these tech tools. Like, have them do like a show and tell type thing with you on, here's how you do this, that, whatever. And then work with them on, okay, how can we incorporate that? How can we use this to help you guys better understand this content? And that's a cool way. And you talk about that student ownership that is built into that when they create it. So.
Yeah, and I think that came up a lot during the resources when teachers were sharing out their favorite app for play and all those ideas. A lot of the tweets that came out also dealt with relationships, get to know your students, because whatever drives your students, whatever is their passion, is where then your planning needs to go. So involving them, not only in physically involving them in every aspect of the design, but even just knowing what they enjoy. You don't want to bring something in that they have no connection to, because then you've lost your purpose. Then you've lost that engagement piece lacks. You have to really know your students and then bring in avenues that they're going to love, because then that's how play is immersed, right?
Yeah, and that goes with everything. I mean, if you think about, like, I can tell you all day long that running a Twitter chat with your students is really cool, but if none of them are on Twitter, then it doesn't work, right?
It doesn't work.
It doesn't make sense. So you got to figure out another way to do it. Same with I can tell you that this AR app is really neat and awesome, but if your students aren't feeling it and they don't get into it because they're not that style of game or whatever, like, it's just not going to make sense. So. Yeah, I mean, understanding your students on all levels is the foundation of everything in that relationship. So
now I'm getting off topic, but this totally relates. I had an Instagram connection that I had a virtual chat with earlier before any of this started today. It was like earlier between school and this. And it was a teacher that's trying to incorporate purposeful vocabulary practice at the high school level through Instagram, because he wants to have students really interacting with a medium that they're comfortable with, the medium they're using already, but then get ready for the SAT. And so just a shout out to him. That was Grammar Spammer. I mean, so fun that they're places out there. They're just trying to engage more authentically with
what's he doing? Does he have his ideas? Is he having them like go out and find like real world pictures and images of it? Or
he was like in this growth period where he was kind of like brainstorming with me today. And it was so interesting to hear where he started he was a teacher later in life. So he's coming at it from a different perspective than the students he's working with. And so he built this concrete base of like, okay, this is the goal, but now he's trying to get student feedback. Does this goal match what students want? Yeah. Because there's different avenues to have them practice. So let's make sure that our kids are passionate about the avenue in which we're having them learn.
That's cool. I love it. That's awesome. I'm gonna go follow him. What's his
Grammar Splatter.
Grammar Spammer. Awesome. So next week's chat, we got the man, right? The myth, the legend, how you want to call it? Chad Ostrowski. Yep. Our boy Chad, talking about student ownership and how you can instill it into your classroom. So really cool topic that I know Chad is extremely passionate about. We all are. Chad will tell you again and again that the flipping his classroom to be very student-centered and student-owned is what changed his life. And we see that over and over and over again. We saw a lot of that in the chat tonight. Like we were talking about all these different ideas of bringing them into it and having talking to that's giving them ownership over their journey and stuff. So that's a big thing that Chad's really excited and always talks about. And so I was glad that was what he decided to go with for next week. So,
Jeff, I don't know if you know this. We pick on Chad a lot. Like he's kind of the one that we like to like poke fun at, and we call him like the man, the myth, and the legend. We pick on him. But as much as I love to pick on him, this is mastery learning is, I know, his focus, but student ownership, that shift is the part that he's taught me so much about. I felt like I was a good educator a few years ago. I feel like I was trying to do right by my students, but gosh, when Chad entered my life, a lot of things changed, but student ownership was the biggest shift. And I owe him so much for being able to help me with that shift. So I'm so excited that he's now spreading that with everyone on Twitter.
I love you bring that up because I've told this story probably on 15 different chats, but when we were in your room the one time last year, like I saw that student ownership, and it was awesome because you had a student that came up to you, a young girl, and she says, Ms. Hewer, can I do da-da-da-da-da for my such and such? And you just looked at her and said, I don't know, what do you think? And it was like it clicked in her head. She went, oh, wait, that's right, I'm in control. And she just walked away because she figured it out like that real quick. And it was just like the epitome of like seeing that she owned her journey, like, and you were allowing her to have it and not letting her not own it, essentially. So yeah, it was really cool. Yeah. So it's excited about that for next week. So that'll be next week.
Sorry,
you're good.
So that shift's important, but Chad also is full of resources and ideas on how to make that shift slowly. And I think that was most helpful for me when I was doing it is small little things that you can slowly over time incorporate in your classroom, teaching your students because they don't know how to take ownership over their learning if they haven't been taught how to do that. Yeah. So those small shifts, I mean, this year alone, my sixth graders, it's a big transition in sixth grade, and especially taking ownership over their learning. They're learning a lot of life skills at the beginning of the year. And one that we're working on right now is like, if you have a question or you need something, no one can stop your learning, but your choice to stop. No one else can stop you. It doesn't matter if a teacher's available, you are in charge. And so he's got so many tips and tricks that I'm excited for him to share throughout this next chat because there's so many small things, no matter where you are in this process of really involving your students in your classroom, he's got something you can go try the following day. It's great.
Love it. So make sure you come back next week, guys. We'll be live here before the chat around 7:45-ish Eastern time. Chat at 8 o'clock. We'll be back live again afterwards, as we always are, recapping like we're doing right now. Big shout out to Kim Snodgrass for an awesome chat tonight. Her episode of Teach Better Talk comes out on Monday, so make sure you have that. Check it out on iTunes and Stitcher and Google Play and everything else. Tiffany's saying something else right now.
There we go.
She does go bigger. She does, yeah. She does, yeah. She did take the grid method after like we mentioned it to her, and she's like, "Oh, I'm just going to do this now." But she makes a great point at the end there. But students need small steps, and although Tiffany is very go big or go home. She recognizes what her student needs. So that's awesome. Thanks for that little last minute insight there, Tiff. I think that's it. I think we can wrap up. What do you think?
It was great chatting with you, Jeff. I haven't been live in a while, and I just love being able to be a part of Twitter, but also chit chat with you live.
It's good stuff. And so check out the podcast on Monday with Kim coming out, Todd Nesloni the week after. So that's getting awesome. And we have 6 episodes previously that are amazing with people like Josie Bensko and Thomas C. Murray, Adam Peterson, who you mentioned a bunch tonight. And Brian Zwemke was this week that we just released.
Did you know we released Brian Zwemke's podcast episode the week of his birthday? How cool is that?
Well, happy birthday to him. I did not know that, but I guess that's fantastic.
Yeah. Go check it out.
And we will see you guys back here next week. Same time, same place. Till then, we'll see you.